Well, the Ford government held a news conference today and went after the federal government. Infrastructure Minister Monty McNaughton says he's surprised the feds have not yet given conditional approval for $11.5 billion to fund Premier Ford's transit vision for the GTA.
Today, we're calling on Prime Minister Trudeau to stop playing politics with infrastructure funding. Does he support these projects or not? It's now up to him to pledge his support.
The $11.5 billion the Ford government wants from the feds would represent about 40% of the $28.5 billion needed for Ford's transit plan, which includes the new Ontario subway line, the extension of the Scarborough subway, and the burying of the Eglinton West LRT. Minister McNaughton accused the PM of playing politics.
I'm concerned the Prime Minister is trying to make a disagreement with Ontario where one doesn't exist. I'm concerned he's treating Ontario differently than other provinces in Canada, where similar projects have already gotten quick approval.
The only thing the federal government has received from Queen's Park regarding Ford's GTA transit plan is a small outline and a map of the Ontario line. Hardly enough to kick in $11.4 billion. There's been no formal business plan presented. What today's announcement seemed more about was trying to go after the PM in an election year.
Instead of picking a fight with Ontario, he should be picking up a shovel. Let's get projects begun in this province.
Just to be clear, you think the federal government is not ponying up money for Toronto's subway expansion because of the political disagreements between Trudeau and Premier Ford?
It's quite frankly baffling that Trudeau would pick a fight with Ontario when it comes to infrastructure.
Getting the Ford government so riled up may have been this Trudeau speech on Friday in Quebec City, in which he went directly after the Ontario Premier.
Earlier this week, Premier Ford signaled that for now he would hold off on slashing your funding even further. He says he heard you, but frankly, I don't think he has.
The NDP's transit critic thinks today's news conference had everything to do with the vote that's coming up in October.
It's timely these kind of announcements are happening in the lead up to a federal election period. I can say that. But, you know, as a transit rider, I just want transit built. And that means all levels of government need to work collaboratively together. This is not today's announcement accusing the federal government of not doing what they want them to do is not an example of playing nice.
It seems this fall's federal election will be as much Trudeau versus Ford as it will be Trudeau versus Andrew Scheer. As for the transit plans, a government spokesperson tells me a full business plan will be sent to the federal government in the coming weeks. Premier Ford, though, has said he'll go ahead with his transit vision, even if the province has to pay for it itself.